Hello, beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful, and I'm just grateful that I was inspired to share my 2024 lessons with you in whatever form Spirit decides to lead me, lead us, because we are in here together, right? And today is also a new moon, which, if you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm just like all about it, right? There's just so much that we can learn and gain from working with the moon. And I know for me, one of the things that I'm actually celebrating is that at the beginning of the year, I noticed that my period cycle was actually getting closer in line to the full moon. And then now, slowly throughout this year, it's gone toward the new moon. And when I think about it, I'm like, wow, that actually seems kind of fitting for me and for the people that I'm meant to serve and teach, because I'm all about new energy. And if you're here for the first time, then welcome. My name is Fallon Jordan. I'm a teacher, a channel healer, world's leading brain health coach. So if you struggle with any mental health or neurological issues, I have amazing training in that. And that's really kind of what led me to this journey of spiritual and personal development, because my own brain was really jacked up. And so when I, looked at my brain with a special type of brain scan, and I saw the PTSD, I saw the depression, I saw the ADHD, I saw the anxiety, I saw the dyslexia, it just gave me permission to really realize, wow, like these are things that I can totally physically heal, doing a lot of things that mainstream medicine isn't talking about, right? And then it also made me really put my money where my mouth is, right? When it comes to investing in myself and doing things that I need to heal. And that continues to be a big lesson for me. And if you're here, I'm sure that's a big lesson for you too. And when I reflect back on this year, and um, one of the biggest thing was really me just being totally vulnerable and authentic. And so thank you for being here. And I promise I'm going to give you like really amazing tips on how to declutter from your year physically, mentally, emotionally, psychically. But I think it's important for me to share like truly what has actually been going on with me this year. And I just did the calculations, and apparently I didn't hit the poverty line with the amount of money I made this year, but I was pretty close. It was a couple $1,000s from like literally being like in poverty, even though in my soul, like I feel like a billionaire, and like energetically, I know that any day I could wake up and receive that amount of money. Take some breaths. And then I know the phone calls I'm going to make. I know exactly where this money is going to go. I know what it's going to do to leave a legacy for me and for you, and what it means for the new earth. Because, I've been a teacher and a channel in so many lives, and I've created new paradigms and initiatives so many times. But, in essence, the dark one, right? Like I've seen Star Wars, Star Trek, things like that. Like my opinion is that like they really, really happened. And whether you're familiar with that concept or not, or maybe you're like me and like you've done past life regression on what life was like in ancient Egypt or in Atlantis, right? Like when I first realized that I wanted to move to Atlanta when I was 20, and then it took me 2 years to get there because I was finishing college. I was like, Atlanta, Atlantis, like no coincidences, right? And so for me, and what I'm hoping that is helpful for you to hear, is that we're getting energetically ready, and there's no accidents that today is known as a black moon. And again, if you follow me on Instagram, if you've seen some of my videos where my cat is here, he is sitting next to us in this luxurious velvet little blanket that I got him, which is also black. And I'm just like, wow, like black new moon energy, like love that for us. Like we're in the womb, right? Like to me, Black means like being in the womb, being in the void. You're already fully created, right? In your mother's womb. It's just a matter of coming out. And so when it comes to things like abundance and prosperity and even soulmate love, or feeling as if you're living your soul mission every day, and you know that with 130% certainty, the funny thing is, oh, this is what I was going to say, because Archer, my cat, is one that was telling me this, and finally it stuck. He said that his favorite thing about being on Earth is that things move so slowly here, and he finds it hilarious. And so I was like, oh, you mean like in a movie, like in The Matrix, right? Perfect example. Like, Neo literally slows and like everything slows down in the picture. And it stuck for me. And so I'm hoping that sticks for you, because you probably listen to a lot of manifestation teachers and you're probably doing a lot of that work. And I love that for you, but you're never going to miss what's coming for you. You can't mess up. Trust me, I feel like I couldn't have messed up more at certain points in my year, because it just seemed so like crazy what I was doing, even though intuitively I was like, this has to be the only thing, because everything I've done to this moment is the same thing, and expecting a different results is insane. I don't want to be insane anymore. Major lesson for 2024. I don't want to be an insane person anymore. And so I was like, okay, this is the direction we have to go. And that full surrender and trust from a place of, I fully surrender and trust Spirit to put me exactly where I'm meant to be, with who I'm exactly meant to be with, and the frequency that is meant for me. All of these beautiful things have unlocked where, I'm getting like full body chills. Whew. I will never forget 2024, like for the rest of my life. And for me, this is big because there's so much of my life I don't remember, because, Spirit in my brain decided they didn't want me remembering any of that, because it's onward and upward only. And every day we wake up expecting miracles and knowing that in our sleep, we were deeply, deeply healing ourselves, people we love, and spaces that we love, seen or unseen. And because the 2024 had so much of the core values that I live by, I really, really fully embodied them and felt them, being 100% in my integrity. And guys, like I have a list of things to touch upon, and this is a big one. I'm sure you're feeling the energy. I had multiple offers from people who I loved and appreciated, and they were selling a product or a service that I was totally in alignment with, totally love, already been supporting my whole life, dream collaboration. They just want me for me. They want my connections. They want the thousands and thousands of people and resources that I'm connected to. They're in full alignment of the mission of the new earth, and like healing mental health issues and creating miracles and allowing people to live in miracles every day, especially people who are really struggling with their health challenges. But then other people became part of that collaboration who were not in alignment, who were not in integrity. I could see, smell, feel their bullshit from a mile away. And that was my only form of income for a few months of this year. And I had to let it go. And it made no sense. I literally lost a longtime connection best friend because I literally couldn't pay her the smittens of rent that she was charging me to stay with her. And she was also like part of that the big entity of my network and the products and services that I would be a spokesperson for. And it was just another, like, I'm like, how many more lessons do I have to learn about this like energetic big entity that was a part of my life for, 12, 13 years. And like, I have a lot of beautiful people that I'm still so connected to, and maybe actually watching this video and can read between the lines a little bit. And I'm beyond grateful for that. You have no idea. But I mean, I literally, from a logical sense, like I had to leave thousands and thousands of profitable opportunities and connections by fully stepping into really my power and like what I stand for and like what I don't. And if I'm going to be a part of your life, whether that's in this capacity where I'm providing and teaching you for free and all you have to do is press a button, versus, you know, you're paying me thousands of dollars a month just to have my energy a part of the product or service that you want me to help promote for you. It's just like, even when I hear people say the word integrity or the word authenticity, it's at the point where I'm just kind of like, well, fucking duh. Like, if you're not in full integrity and you're not in full authenticity, why are we even having this conversation? But big lessons of 2024 is, you know, I was about to get my car repossessed, and there's the ego part of that, but there's also a lot of what my car actually represents, and having that taken away from me because I allowed spirit to close all of these doors, trusting something else would open, and understanding that earth is slow. Things come in slowly because there is always something better, right? And one of the big beautiful things of 2024 also is these little nuggets that I had from my childhood were literally leading me to this, right? Like, I remember when I had my first boyfriend in high school, and I mean, he was wonderful. And even my second boyfriend in high school was wonderful. Like, fucking, they could have made a rom-com about our love and how well I was treated, like shooting from the rooftops. I love Fallon Jordan style, like legit. But I remember thinking, like, it can't be better than this. How could it be better than this? And that became kind of like my baseline. Like, things are going to be amazing, but can they be more amazing? And if they can't, especially when it comes to like romantic love, right? Like, if you're with someone who's like 90 to 99% of what you want, it's still not 100%, right? And so that lesson has been coming front and forward. The lesson of, you know, being able to, you know, I grew up in Maine, and I grew up, you know, near Portland. So, you know, I had access to trains and Greyhound bus and planes, but, you know, like I left when I was in my early 20s. Like, I didn't grow up in a family where we just flew around the world doing fun things. So for me, like, the feeling of always being able to travel at a moment's notice has always been motivating. And so that was where I wanted to share about the packing and why that's so important, because your core values are your core values, right? And for me, having fun, feeling free, and feeling open to be completely myself and to do whatever the fuck I feel like doing whenever the fuck I feel like doing it, those are the most important things to me. That's why when people talk about integrity and authenticity, I kind of laugh it off, because I'm like, well, duh, but like, what else? Like, what do you really actually truly want, right? And so I just have always wanted that. I've always wanted to feel like I could take off at a moment's notice and just go somewhere and have the few things that are important to me with me. For example, my makeup, my Amika shampoo and conditioner, my Oral ORL toothpaste. Like, those are things that like I really want to travel with. And I always have an emergency bathing suit in my car, and I always have a bathing suit no matter where I'm going, no matter the time of year, because those things are important to me. Like, being able to present myself the way I want to, and being able to be in water. Those are the two most important things that make me feel fun, free, and open, right? And so when it comes to getting ready for a trip or packing, what can you do? And like, again, if this, I'm just speaking to the person that this is the type of lifestyle that you want. Like, if you're like, I want to travel more, you know, even if it's a day trip to somewhere an hour or two away, you just want to like go away for the day and like pack a bag just in case you need it or whatever. Like, are you set up for that? And will you have the things that you need? And also not overpacking. I don't get the overpacking thing. It's a little weird to me, to be totally honest. I think that's one of my masculine features that is very helpful. And I think that's why I have the gifts that I have of being able to see things other people don't see. And like the concept of having more free space as literally more free space in all areas of your life, right? Like energetically, more space for love, all of those things. And if you feel like you're having to carry around all of this stuff, like where else are you feeling like you have to carry all of this stuff in your life, right? So I'm kind of like a dude, like if we're going away for a few days, like I just bring my backpack and I know that it has, the travel size shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste that I love. It's gonna have, I always have emergency paper towels and napkins like folded up in my backpack just because spills happen. I'm a very messy person. I feel like I spill my coffee like 30% of the time I have a coffee. And then my bathing suit, and then like a couple outfits. But like, especially when you're in the energy of new and you're going to a new place, like you're a completely new person. Like if you want to get a new outfit while you're there, then do it. If you want to pack something you normally wouldn't wear, just being like, I feel like this would be super fun to like do, right? To wear this outfit or to do my hair this way that's different. Like being able to do that. The more stuff that you pack, the more decisions you have to make when really like just being in the energy of the new is supposed to be the experience. Excuse me. It's so important. And when I wrote down that the concept of new is something really important that I wanted to talk to with you guys about today, it actually made me really sad because I had someone really close to me who finally let me, so it's being codependent as fuck, do her human design reading and her gene keys reading. And this is the most like routined person I know. And her gene keys, literally multiple places, like in all four of the gene keys, like more than one of the gene keys for her was saying that like the concept and the feeling of newness was the most important thing for her life. And I'm like, okay, so you realize, are you listening? Like, do you understand what this means? You're not making the money that you want. You don't have the motivation you want to work out. You're not attracting the right types of people to date. Like, I'm just telling you how it is. That's why I love human design and gene keys, because it's really giving you this roadmap to just shift something that can shift everything. And especially in the energy of new. And I've met a lot of new people this year, especially since being in Ohio. I am staying with an old friend and his adult son. And, there's just like a lot of people here. This is kind of like the fun house. And so, people are kind of knowing me in this very different place where, the way that I'm carrying myself and talking is someone who, is very, very abundant, very, very prosperous, very much knowing what I want in life, what I don't want in my life. And, of course, like the animals and the energy of the house are like my top priority, and I contribute in that way. And they're always just like, yeah, like you're the first person I think of when I think of like wanting to have a new experience. And I'm like, oh my God, love that for me, but like, love that for you. People get so stuck in these routines and sameness. And especially when it comes to like the physical stuff that we have, right? Like when you're clearing the clutter and like all these different areas of your life. And again, I always do deeply meaningful personal things last. Always, always, always start with the least emotionally charged items or areas of your house, and then build. It's like building a muscle, right? You go straight in for the kill of the box of all of the stuff from all of your old boyfriends and your old lives. And, for me, that was when I moved out of my dream, beautiful, perfect apartment in February, and was very excited that the universe was going to lead me to Hawaii, like ASAP. I like getting rid of my yearbooks and my medals for soccer and lacrosse were like sad because like those were very few things that I've actually like allowed to move with me. And when I really sat with them, I was like, this is just ego, Fallon. Like, do you really fucking care that you have this plaque that said that you were good at a sport once? Like, no, it's not important. It's not important. It's not where I'm at right now, right? And it was coming from this energy of proving, right? Even like degrees on the walls and things like that. Like I had my degree and like all of these certifications and like all of these important classes that I've taken. And I'm like, this is not important. And that was one of the things that I wanted to let you know. And again, you're here. This is POV, Fallon's POV. Like certifications are super unnecessary to do the things that you want to do. And I know some of you, we've had this conversation before where if you want to get certified in something that you think I can teach you, cool. I'll make you a certificate. It'll be the cutest certificate you've ever seen or the most professional one that you've ever seen. It's totally fine. But like the energy of needing a certification, and this came through strong today for you guys because one of the biggest things I decluttered this year was I decluttered the contacts in my phone. And I decluttered who I follow on Instagram. And I said bye-bye to Facebook and LinkedIn. Like I'm totally over it. I like literally can't. If you love them, I love that for you, but like I can't. I'm staying on Instagram. I'm focusing on Instagram. It's my happy place. I get so much amazing love and support there for myself. And I get to share really fucking cool things because I follow really cool people and I share the things that they are putting out there. Oh, and I decluttered unsubscribing from a lot of emails. And I mean, some of these people are people who I adore and I love their content, but I'm like, I just can't have this energy. Like, I need the things that are absolutely 130% vital to me. Right. And there's a few mentors who, if I see an email from them, my whole body lights up and I'm just like so excited to read it. And I realized like, I just want that feeling with every single person. And I have to put aside like, well, what if this person wants me to do something and they like, they know that I unsubscribed from them. Like these delusional thoughts that we have sometimes. Right. And I was just like, no, I literally turned down $1 million deal to literally just be involved in this company and do what I've already been doing, which is like promoting their products and services. And I literally set them up with the only person that I trust with paid ads. And it was working. Like it was like legit working and making money and helping a lot of people with like miracle products. Because I just couldn't do it. It felt so wrong in my body. And I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't practicing my intuition like a muscle. And so that was really like one of the big things this year. It's like, okay, if I'm waking up every day, knowing miracles are going to happen, they're going to come in ways I'm not expecting. And again, for, the first big chunk of the year, I was like, when is Hawaii happening? When is Hawaii happening? When is Hawaii happening? And I finally got to the point where it's like, the universe is like, no, we need you to heal your shit so deeply that there is not even a piece or trace of this in any version of yourself in any dimension, space, or time. Like so much is coming in for you. There's so many big miracles that we are preparing behind the scenes for you. And all we're asking you to do is fucking rest. That's it. We're just literally asking you to rest and to heal. And, like we could send you more money to hire more people, or we could kind of have you tough it out for a bit and not have the money to do those things and to receive the guidance that you're meant to, that you don't have to pay for. And so that's the biggest reason why I will never forget 2024, because I will always, well, maybe not always, but I know for when I think of 2024 and even right now, I'm recording this Monday the 30th on the black new moon of Capricorn, which is all about responsibility and long-term planning. I will always know that there are people out there who they have a lot to do with their healing journey, especially with money. And there's no one to better support them than me because I literally fucking get it. And this is also important for a lot of you, is that having a soul aligned business, having a spiritual business, you might not be, how do I say this? Like, it's not going to be A plus B equals C for a lot of us, where the business makes millions of dollars from you giving millions of dollars worth of products and services and selling them. There is a way to make money doing the things that you love through this business that are going to allow you to grow that money in the new earth money template, which I do believe, like gold, silver, Bitcoin, and then real estate and land investing is where that's going to be at. And again, like, there's no accidents. Like, for me, like, I mean, my biggest gift is seeing a house or a property, being able to read the energy, being able to transmute it, and seeing, like, what am I going to physically build and create and change to make this the most glorious, loving, sacred space it can be. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, like a trailer or, you know, a normal small house or a mansion. Like, it does not matter. What matters is the energy. And what matters is this person understanding that this is temporary, because, you know, I know I'm going to love my future home. Like, I know I will, but I need the energy new, and I want to travel a lot, and I want to see beautiful places. And I love going to people's homes and supporting them with this decluttering organization healing process that I use. And, you know, when I'm selling miracles for $188, which, you know, I did this year, that's not a sustainable business, right? Like, even if I did a few of those a day, it's still not sustainable for the level of visibility that I want. And, you know, like, my goal is to be doing this type of, like, these videos and this type of support for you guys and Instagram reels. Like, I want to be doing that all the time. Like, I want that to be the main focus of supporting you. And then when I am working with clients in person at their house, like, I'm totally off the grid, right? And I'm sure some of you've noticed that pattern, right? Where I'm just like constantly around and then I kind of disappear. And that's because I have, you know, I have a major hermit part to my soul. And I didn't know that until a few years ago. And I didn't really start allowing that to lead me until this year, when Spirit's like, we really need you to nail this 2-line. Like, we really need you to nail this hermiting, which is also so fun of why this year, again, like, the thing that's really hitting me is that not only did it never feel right, but now my beautiful Instagram algorithm is sharing, like, new moon is really actually in March, and this is why. And again, it was part of the construct to keep us limited and to keep us confused, and for our circadian rhythm to be all fucked up, and for us to be not in touch with the moon, POV. And, you know, I still have we really have, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, right? Like, we have like 2 more months of like winter, of like hermiting, of healing, learning, integrating, of, you know, sleeping in and cuddling with our cat, right? Archer and I were under the covers for a few minutes today, and I was like, we should just do our meditation under the covers, like, before we even get out of bed. And he was like, let's totally do it. So we did. And this beautiful offer came through for me, where it's like, you should do a video today about your lessons from 2024. And I was like, all right, cool. Okay, so I'm going through my list. Certifications. Yeah, not necessary. Not necessary. If you love someone, you want to work with them, they're offering a certification, great. But it should never be like, I need a certification in this, who should I go to? And, you know, in 10 years, that shit's not going to matter. Just like right now, we're at this precipice where like having an MD or a PhD really doesn't matter. In 10 years, 20 years, like having certifications isn't going to matter either. It's really not. No one's going to care about any of that. And when you say, and this is a powerful exercise, oh, what do you do? Right? You're not just going to be like, oh, I'm a certified health coach. Like, I'm a healer and a teacher, and I help create generational wealth for amazing people who are ready to like live out of the matrix. And people are like, right? That's going to be the new normal. No one's going to care about your certifications and your education. People are going to see and understand the frequency. And that's all that they're going to see. And this is also a loving reminder of, you know, I believe that we all have all of our clairs activated. Some may be stronger right now, but the more that you focus on the gratitude and the usage of the clairs that you already are very strongly connected to, I'm like, my left ear is itching crazy while I'm saying this. So whoever's clairaudient, yay, love that for you. Everything else is going to turn on, right? It's really, really cool. And when you're activating your clairs and you're like in your full psychic self, who is going to care of the classes and the certifications that you took? People are going to care about your frequency. They might want to learn, like, how did you do this? How did you learn how to do that? And it's like, oh, I took this one class. Or for me, 2024, like I had so many free readings on, there was like live shows and summits, and like I was chosen to get free readings. And like those free readings carried me through some really dark times, you guys. Like when I had to move out of state because I was literally like running away from the repossession ban. And I was like, I am not losing my car, period. So here we go. And, like I did get a bartending job, and I met some really wonderful people, like as far as guests and connections, full alignment, but it was not a good fit for me. I was literally leaving there crying in like physical pain because they just refused to get mats, and my feet were just not used to that life anymore. It's been a while since I did that. So again, logical mind, I was like, well, I'm going to at least try and get something, right? Because for 2 years now, almost 3, March will be 3 years since I have been applying for normal 3D jobs, sales and marketing, HR, health coaching, running clinics, like you pretty much name it, I am doing it, as long as there isn't, accounting involved. I pretty much applied for all of those jobs. And again, it was just spirit being like, absolutely not. Like, thank you for letting us know that you're open to doing all of these things, but like none of these are in integrity with you. And we're just asking you to be patient. Right. So, there were those times where I'm just like, I'm trying so hard to get money so that I can live. Why isn't this happening? And I would just immediately get an answer like, just trust us. Just trust us. And I have never had so many signs and synchronicities and angel numbers as I have this year. And especially since I got to Ohio in September. And one of the things that was really, really crazy was the first few people that are like, oh my God, where are you? Are you in Hawaii yet? And I'm like, no, I'm in Ohio. And they're like, wait, what? And I had this beautiful epiphany, and it's really powerful if you want to write it down and just look at it and see like, if this resonates for you. I'm doing it right now. It's so crazy. So I'm spelling Ohio, but I'm capitalizing the H and the I. H and I is the the abbreviation for Hawaii. Hawaii is literally, HI is between two completed circles. And when I learned that and I remind myself of that, it's like that in itself is a miracle, right? Like you can't make this shit up. Even today, like I was I wanted to do a lot of meditating this morning. Monday mornings, I do a lot more of my work because it's moon day. And today is actually a new moon day on a Monday. And I'm like, last Monday of the year. And I'm like, amazing, perfect. And so it was actually 11:11 before I sat down to record this. And I was like, there are no coincidences. And I mean, even yesterday, like I just happened to look at my phone for something at 1:11. A little bit of time goes by. Obviously, I was taking a picture at went to a illusion museum yesterday. So cool. And it said 222. So just to give you an example, like constant. And hawks have been a big part of my life this year. One of the free beautiful readings I had in February, leaving a mastermind, leaving a paid trip from the big client that fizzled away with my millions of dollars. And I'm at the airport and I'm this woman on the John Burgos show. It was so funny because she specializes in dragon readings. And I'm like, I want to know more about my dragon. Pretty sure he's Clementine. I don't know why, but like the color Clementine. And it just made me think of my prom dress that was Clementine and shiny colored. And she's like, you already know everything about your dragons. What you need to know is that you are a falcon. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah. She's like, your name is Fallon because you're a falcon. And that was the closest word we could choose for your soul to be in the highest alignment of you, which is with a falcon, because you are so precise and you see things so clearly and easily that other people don't see, and you never miss what you want. And I was like, damn. And so yesterday, falcons, hawks everywhere. The day before that, I saw 12 bald eagles singing for me. Like it's crazy. So how can I not feel abundant? How can I not feel cared for? Right? My bank account, it is what it is. But, if I can provide miracles for people for $188 and that's what I'm being guided and led by spirit to do, that's what I'm going to do. Not this year, but last year, the beginning of last year, actually, I had my first big client and I was charging her $30,000 for a 1-year mentorship, including a long weekend in person with me to declutter and organize and energy heal her house. And I was so happy because I was charging a glimpse of what I had actually already invested in myself with a coach. And I was giving a lot more in my perspective at that time than I received because I was doing in person. I was giving her a full year versus just 9 months for the $30,000. And it fell through. And after a few months, and it was only because, and she told me straight up, she's like, I love you and I want to work with you, but I'm so triggered with this new life that I want to create and I'm not ready. And I realized, wow, like there's actually a lot of people out there that are feeling that way. And I, A, never want them to feel that way. And B, why am I still attracting people who aren't ready? And so that's been a big thing that I've healed this year. And that's been a big thing that I've been triggering a lot of people about because I am very intuitive. But there are some people who be like, oh, you're just impulsive. And it's like, yeah, like I could see you having that perspective, but I also don't have the time or care to convince you of this. Like I am done with convincing energy. Big lesson of 2024. I am done with convincing energy. And I need to support the people who are like so ready and they know it's going to totally suck to make that change because they've lived the same programs over and over and over and over. Not just in this life, guys, like you've lived these patterns in other lives too. People taking away your power or staying in a marriage that like, is 90% great, but it's still not your soul aligned partner. It's not the life that you want. It's not in the location that you want. It's not where you actually want to be, right? And so that's been, that was a big 2023 lesson, but it definitely rolled over this year when I was Um, making offers and like getting on sales calls, even though I really didn't want to. And because I would, immediately like, it's a sales call. You're going to be in convincing energy. And I was like, I just can't do it. Like, it just does not feel good to me. And I never want to be the reason why someone is worrying about their car being repossessed because they can't pay their coach, right? Okay. Big lesson. Looking at my little list. Okay, so decluttering physically 2024. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions. And I know this is not everyone. I know a couple of my friends that have gone through that this year, but I set the intention, moving from my beautiful dream perfect apartment with all my pink sparkly things. And I'm going to be staying with a friend in Atlanta until Hawaii comes in. Like that was the plan back in February. And so when I was going through my stuff, I was like, I want to bring the things that are important to give me this transition. But there's also some things that I know are just like, there's no way that I'm going to want to feel like I have to bring them to Hawaii with me. And so I really kind of had to sit down with all of my stuff. And I mean, this includes like my gnomes and my fairy trees. And so I kind of had to have this deeper conversation with myself and with my apartment and with the non-physical beings that were supporting me in that beautiful time. Like that was also something that I reminded myself all year of. I'm like, you've lived in beautiful, amazing places. Like you have had the wealth, you have felt the wealth. It's not like we took it from you for any harsh lesson. It's just you made it very clear you want to move west and that you want to have a very, very different lifestyle. I don't want to be in an apartment where I have the energy of other people around me. Like I want to be very far away from people. And we need to get some things in order for like organized for you to do that. You do your part, I'll do my part. And so when I made that conscious decision that there are, not a lot of things that I feel like I need to bring with me, I had a ceremony and I talked to the objects and I did what I really didn't want to do because I really just don't like Facebook, guys. I'm gonna be totally honest. Like, I think it's a very dark place. And like, there's a reason why Mark blah blah would literally he will not let his children have a smartphone. And when he uses his computer, he literally covers up his camera and his microphone whenever he can. Okay. This is not by chance, right? And to me, Instagram, just the energy of Instagram feels so different. Personal opinion. But I did Facebook Marketplace for getting rid of a lot of my stuff. And, I was basically getting rid of it, but like I wanted people to pay something because these are charged. Like, can you imagine like having gnomes for my house where I did 3 successful, amazing summits, like crazy high vibes. Like, I mean, that apartment was where my dog crossed over, who was like one of my biggest soulmates. It was really important, right? So like, I'm not just gonna like give away these gnomes, right? Like I wanted people to appreciate them. And so I did Facebook Marketplace and I would immediately just go to someone's profile and I would get a ping if this is the person or not. And I would just say like, yeah, if you can be here, this date, this time, like, everything is yours. And the few people that I selected to come get my stuff were moms of little girls who walked into my apartment, like every little girl who's walked into my apartment and is like, oh my God, this is like literally like my dream space. It looks like this is what I want my room to look like one day, mommy, right? And that was why I set it up that way, because that space is meant to heal my child self and to activate my divine child so I can live in my divine child every day. So when we're decluttering things, the big point I'm trying to make is like, it's important to focus on why you're making the decisions you're making based on your three most important principles to live by, right? Mine are fun, freedom, and openness, right? So every decision I made had to have that, right? And so, I kept a couple of my fairies. I kept some of my books, others I gave as gift. I kept some of my crystals, I gave others as gifts. So that now, I'm sharing a room with my friend, and like my entire life fits in one corner, and like, his room doesn't look like a total crazy disaster because some chick moved in, right? It's my most important stuff that most likely either will go to Hawaii with me, or I will give as gifts here to the friends that I've met here in Ohio. But this is all contributing to me feeling fun, free, and open. And this is a big reason why I love working with moms, because when you know the biggest principles that you want to live by and how that is reflected in the relationship that you have with your kids, that's also your motivation, right? Like if I had children and if I wanted to have a relationship with them that's based on fun, freedom, and openness, that's going to be a very different lifestyle than me having a relationship with my children, which is based on, discipline, responsibility, and academics, right? Like fucking ew. Definitely not. And so that's always the first step of my decluttering process. Like, what are your three most important principles that you want to live by? And so you can do that by learning more through, like, there's a couple people that have, like, if you just Google values, like things will pop up and you can see the most common, like 100. And then you kind of go through a process of picking the top three that like are just so important for you. And then allowing that to change, right? Like, when my twin flame comes in, which, he's coming in hot, apparently. I've been feeling it for a while, but it only takes one person saying something, right? And it was my mentor. She's like, yeah, it's like coming in hot. They're, fun, freedom, and openness are going to be very important to me. But if I'm going to choose to jump timelines, right, and I'm going to choose to jump into an entire new life, there might be things that are different, right? Like I might have a home where I'm like, I want to actually stay here for a while and like really take care of this place and create gardens and build a guest house. And, I want to have the most natural, chemical-free pool that stays warm year round. How are we going to make that happen? Fun, free, and open, because, I want to be doing these videos from my pool. That's the goal. Like 100%, that is the goal. My business running from the pool, me serving and teaching from my pool. No room for ring lights, right? That was something I decluttered multiple times this year. And then finally, the last time I decluttered, just a few months ago, I've never felt so free or open with being able to share with you guys. Do you really fucking care if my lighting is off? Like, is that really impacting you? Let's be honest. Okay. Okie dokie. So yeah, what are your three biggest principles to live by, and how can you make your decisions, especially in regards to physical clutter, as well as emotional, and psychic, and energetic clutter? We're talking about physical clutter as well. How can your decisions be dictated by those feelings, right? And if you're like one of my amazing clients, just absolutely adored her. She was one of my angels this year. Being able to support her and her husband was just literally a dream. And, their biggest thing was like, I want to feel like I'm not running around as much. Like, I don't want to feel rushed. And I want to feel calm and connected to myself, to my pets, to my husband, and to my business. She had a yoga studio. So like she didn't even have time and space to do yoga in her own house because there was so much clutter and other things going on in her life where she wasn't having the space for that. And so that's what we created. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, like so so much more connected to her space and her business. And, I spent the most time with her. I've had a couple other clients where we did like 30-day intensives, just virtually. But the gift is that like, whether it's someone who did just like one, healing session with me, or someone I did 30 days with, or someone who I basically moved into this other client's house for like 10 days. They're on this whole new trajectory. And like, I don't want them to need me anymore. That's the point, right? And like, when I look back at things I was trying to do based on what I was taught and like what the traditional coaching paradigm teaches, right? It's just, you need to charge more. You need to charge more. You need to charge more. And it's like, I get that. But at the same time, I don't want people dependent on me, and me making them say they're going to stay with me for X amount of months is only because I'm in scarcity, right? I want them to stay. I want them to stay. I hope they stay. I've only had one client re-sign with me, and he did need a lot more support, right? Like we had to do some major physical brain healing that I was keeping him accountable for. Then we started working more on the psychological. Then we started working on his business, which of course is the energetics. So that was a really, really big transformation for him. But I mean, other than that, like I've never had a client need to re-sign with me because they're on this whole new trajectory and they're living this totally different life. And that's what I want, right? Like that's what I get to receive from the people I work with. And I'm so grateful for the amazing people I have access to, because they fucking get this. They're not in this. They're teaching the same stuff that I'm teaching you. And they're probably saying it in a very different way, in a very different energy than I am, because I'm a very fiery person. And I get very pissed off when people are mistreated and manipulated. And it makes me crazy, right? That's why like the convincing energy like had to go. And I had to really learn that lesson this year. And I hope that serves you and you reflect on that, because if you don't feel like you have to convince anyone else of how amazing you are, how much of a difference you can make in their life, whether it's as someone they hire or a friend or a colleague or a lover, like think of how much different your life is going to be. And like, this is why I personally love the trajectory that I'm leading with the world of coaching and sales and marketing, because this other shit is not working, right? If I see someone who does a program and then I see them months later and they look the same, their energy feels the same, I'm going to feel really sad for them. Like, what the fuck happened? Right? Like, why are things not changing for you? I should feel it. I should see it. And that's what I want for everybody. Like, there's people that I saw a friend the other day I hadn't seen in a while, a new friend that I had met in Ohio. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you look amazing. You look like a totally different person. And she's like, well, I'm glad you think that, because I don't feel great. And I was like, well, I'm like, do you feel like you're purging something? Like, are you trying to manifest something? And she went like this, and she had an engagement ring on. And I was like, fucking right. Look at that. She's like, yeah, I'm manifesting my husband, and he's going to be like, da, 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 da. And I was like, did you write this down? And she's like, no. I was like, have you put it in your phone? And she's like, no. I'm like, get on that shit. Get in your notes on your iPhone and you list all the things that are non-negotiables for you, and let the universe provide for you. Allow this purge that you're going through, because you don't want to bring anything into your next relationship other than like your highest and best self. And like the worst thing is when you keep dating the same person over and over, let alone marry the same person over and over, right? And she was just like, oh wow, like yeah, like that's a really interesting perspective. And I told her, I was like, I know whatever you're doing right now or feeling might not be fun, but I can fucking promise you, like, it's exactly what you're meant to be doing, because I think you look fucking great. And if anyone else can't see it, it's because you're in such a new vibration now that they're not meant to see it, right? So one of the things that I manifested that made me feel super in alignment this year that was not reflected in my bank account was a lot of dog sitting. So I have always been obsessed with animals. You know, my dog was my best friend, my love. She was the cutest yellow lab you've ever seen in your life. And I really missed being around dogs all the time in a way that was so much harder to explain to someone who, you know, has only like Lulu was my first dog. I'm still not ready for another dog. I know that they're literally just going to appear on my doorstep as soon as I am ready and I'm a little bit more settled, or they're, you know, travel size, or they love to travel and we just go on my private jet wherever the fuck we want to with, of course, Archer, and Archer will have a say. But that was such a beautiful miracle when I went through my 2024 calendar and I was looking at all the things that I was able to do this year. And when I am dog sitting at someone's house and, you know, first of all, saying yes, because if I'm saying yes, then I do want to be in your house, right? Like if your house is not the vibes that I want, then I'm not going to do it. Or if your dog is, you know, for whatever reason, just like not a vibe, then I'm not going to be there either. Which you'd be surprised, but that's happened a couple of times to me. And it's the same with a human. Like there's some humans I trigger and they're like, you know, you're the worst, get away from me. Like there's like our animals have their own stuff, right? Little Archer he's done so much healing the last 2 years, and especially this year. Like he was manifesting, you know, when we were talking about Hawaii, well, it's crazy. My ear just started ringing. It was exactly a year ago. It was like first week of January where I sat down with him and I was like, yo, dude, like we're moving to Hawaii. Like we need to talk about it. He's like, oh yeah, I knew that forever ago. And I was like, oh. And he showed me the Airbnb that he wanted us to choose, which is exactly where Kilauea is erupting right now. Cray cray. And so he showed me the property, and there's a lot of trees, there's a lot of open space, and there were a lot of other animals, including cats, which I was very surprised by. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I want to be able to have our space, just us, but I want to also go outside and have fun and like have friends. And I was like, cool. Obviously, the universe provided that, just not in the way we expected. We are, you know, like I said, in Ohio, he has so many little friends here, and he gets to go on his little adventures, and like he gets to live his little outdoor cat life that he, you know, never really got to experience with me because we lived in Atlanta. You know, we either lived in the city too close to a road, or he just didn't like want to leave me. So I'd let him outside and he just like, no, like I just want to stay inside. So that was a huge miracle. And it just made me realize that animal healing and land healing are a part of our family. And so, you know, in certain spaces, if I tell people, so I did a lot of 3D business networking things this year too, which was, you know, really good, powerful exercise to learn new things and to see that the little things that hit people, what sticks and makes them remember me. But when I tell people I'm a family coach, it has this whole new trajectory to me now, because it's like your family is you, your partner, your children, past and future generations, your animals, and also your land. And all of the things that are connected to that land, right? Like the trees and the birds and all of those things. And I just am like amazed that I was able to manifest that in, again, like a beautiful way, not the way that I was quote unquote expecting, but it really helped me realize like how powerful I am, right? And like transmuting energy, like wherever I go, if I'm setting that intention and it is a full body yes, like this is the direction that you're meant to go at this time, we're going to do that. So I'm very grateful about that. So, I wanted to let's talk a little bit more about the decluttering of the calendar. So I am that person who, if we're on a call and you screen share to show me something and you have more than 5 tabs open, I literally just shut down because it's so overwhelming to me that I can't even like fucking concentrate. And then I want to immediately go into coach rescuing mode. Like, why do you have this many tabs open? And do you have this many tabs open in other areas of your life? Is your energy just like fucking everywhere and you're not allowing yourself to have your energy only where you want it? Like, you have control over your auric field. You can say, today, I want my aura as close to me as fucking possible. I just need to be in my own energy and I need to heal through this feeling that I had last night when I dreamt of someone telling me they wanted me to help them with this property. And I walk in and there's just fucking candy and ice cream everywhere. And I'm like, dude, like I can't. We got to start with candy and ice cream before I talk about your space. That was literally my dream. So, choosing to have an auric field however you want it. I didn't. I woke up and I actually felt really powerful and I was like, that's kind of cool. And I made the intention. I was like, I want my auric field like out, like YouTube out, right? Like the whole world can come and get a little energy healing from me and like just, integrate and learn whatever these things are that they're processing from 2024. So paying attention to your actual energy and your actual auric field and allowing yourself to have control over that. And again, that goes for the items in your home and it goes for the spaces in your home too. Like if you sage on a regular basis, you'll notice like the sage has a harder time getting to the corners in your house because that's where a lot of stagnant or negative energy tends to build or get trapped, right? And so it's really important to, put on that, just command your gifts to turn on, command your clear buoyancy, right? Like I want to see where all the energy is stuck in my house. I want to see all of the items in my house that are not serving me, even if it's something that I might not want to hear yet. Spirit, please show me like super, super clearly. And then you are able to start making better, more empowering decisions. And anything that's of the old versions of you, like really needs to go. And especially women, I see this so much. Like you have the skinny jeans in the back of the closet. You have a bunch of t-shirts from when you were super hot in college and a part of a sorority. Awesome. However, why are these buried in the back of your dresser where you can't see them? If it's actually something that brings you joy, like the t-shirts bring you joy, you need to wear them, right? And you need to see them regularly. Your skinny jeans, if that's actually your motivation is to get back into these jeans that are from the Gap and you don't even like the Gap anymore because the energy of the fucking company is so evil, let's get rid of those and let's get you a new set of skinny jeans to be motivating. And we're going to set those jeans where you're going to see them every single time you're in your room or in your closet, right? Out of sight, out of mind. If you live by the principle out of sight, out of mind, only allowing things in your visual fields that promote the three core principles that you want, things are going to like naturally shift and like your ability to make these decisions is going to be so much easier. And so hoping that is helpful for someone. Cleaning out the closet, coming out of the closet, all of those analogies about the closet, like there's a reason, right? And I really feel whoever, and it's so funny, I love Modern Family and I love how one of the characters has a very successful closet design company. And whoever started doing that, I think is a genius because, when you see TV shows, movies, maybe someone who's very wealthy and has a large home and they have a large bedroom closet. It's all organized. some people, they even have space to like actually sit and, maybe get a couple things done in their closet because it's such a clean, organized space, right? And there's something to that. And while I don't think we need a lot of stuff, and I think having a bigger closet just to put more shit in it is not the point. The point is, if your closet represents a lot of things you have going on in your life, like that can actually be a very powerful exercise. And I take that very seriously because I've lived in so many places where my closet was so tiny. I could only hang up maybe like, I don't know, 30, 40 pieces of clothes. Like it was so small. I've lived in places where I didn't have a closet. I've lived in places like my apartment. I lived in the past, like 2 years ago, and then moved out in February of this year. I love that closet. It was a magical place. Archer, whenever he wasn't with me out in the apartment, he was in the closet because it was like literally just a magical place. And so that's a really powerful place to start. And then anything else with closet energy, anything else where you're opening and shutting, right? So a refrigerator, for example, like keeping that really clean and organized. Even a microwave, like for me, like see a dirty microwave, I literally can't, like it just grosses me out so much. I will literally go to other people's houses and clean their fucking microwave. I don't care if it's rude, like it's happening. It's so disgusting. And I'm doing them a huge favor because, microwaves, the energy of a microwave is, pretty much not good, but like for some people, it really can be a miracle worker if, like for me, like if I want to microwave my hot chocolate or my coffee, it brings me a lot of joy. But definitely not trying to microwave like too many things. One of my favorite energy of closets is the glove box in my car. And it's so funny because I've always been this way ever since I was 15. Started paying for my car when I was 15, didn't even get to drive it until I was 16. But I've always been very passionate of having like extra napkins, paper towels, and then like extra plastic silverware, right? And then being a girl, like I'll usually have a couple tampons in there as well. Just very passionate about having these items as like for an emergency, and also a tape measure. Never know when you're going to need it. And I went through a phase for a very long time, which, maybe I'll go back to at some point, where I loved buying old furniture and funking it up, painting it and things like that. So I always have those items in my glove box, and I have this theory that like everybody should have those items in their glove box. Even if you're a guy, can you imagine being the hero? Total side conversation, and I'll do this in another episode, but men deep down want to be the hero, and anything that's making them appear like they don't is just trauma that they need to fucking work on. However, most of you here, I feel like, probably attract really wonderful men who want to support you, and you need to let them be the hero, right? Like let them take care of your shit for you, please. Guys, having tampons in your car, you could be the hero. You never know. So I went for a ride to get coffee with one of my friends, and he just got a new car, and he spilled his coffee everywhere. And I opened the glove box to grab a bunch of napkins, and there's nothing in there. And I'm like, why don't you have napkins or paper towels in here? He's like, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, great lesson, and a beautiful reminder for me to share this with my community, because I find it very, very, very important. And then your cupboards, of course, basically little baby closets. And even just if if you're here and you're new to me, I'm not a minimalist. I am not into the Marie Kondo stuff. I have a very specific technique of decluttering an organization I use that is heart-based and brain-based. And, you know, while I do like a couple things that Marie Kondo says, I don't like the energy of a perfectly organized house that everything is folded in a very OCD like way. I come from mental health and I've helped a lot of people recover from OCD, debilitating OCD. And I'm just very cautious in my own life not to do that because I grew up with very OCD parents, as far as OCD organization. And then my mom had a lot of obsessive compulsive personality disorder traits, which is very different than classic OCD. And so I'm very cautious of that with myself. And so I never want to make anyone feel like they have to be super, 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 super organized. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help people declutter things that are not contributing to their highest and best. And I'm helping people organize their lives in a way that is unique and perfect for them and not what somebody else is saying. It's what's in their heart. And again, if you live by out of sight, out of mind, and you know, I'm sure some of you guys have done this. You pay money to get a reading or to work with a coach, and they tell you to go in nature and to do your gratitude journaling every morning. And you're like, that's what I paid you to tell me? Yes. And this is my secret for you when it comes to organizing. If painting is the thing that you love, and I literally had this conversation the other day with a friend. I had no idea she was a brilliant artist. And I'm like, why are you complaining about anything? Like, you need to be doing this all the time. You know, is the house organized for you to remember that you love painting and want to do it, right? There's a reason why in Nicholas Spark or Hallmark, the girl has a dream of having a painting room and the guy provides that for her. There's a reason, because it's there ready to go. And so if you give yourself permission to do things like that, to set up structures where, well, of course I want this to be in my field of view on a regular basis because it's going to make me happy and remind me that these are things I like to do. Right? That's what I do. That's what I help people realize is like what you truly want for your space, for you and the highest best of you and your family. And even, I'm going into a company and doing offices, like same thing, like, really, really important to pay attention to what you truly want and what your heart is telling you instead of what you're seeing, in other places. Really, really important. And I, as a Falcon with a gift of precision, it's important for me to help people find the most efficient way to do things. And to me, it only makes sense that efficiency is congruent with your joy. Because if I'm helping you get organized, create more time, not feel rushed, not just feeling overwhelmed and burnt out, right? Like everything that we're doing, setting up these systems with your space and especially your car needs to be congruent with that, right? I was working with someone who had a brand new souped up BMW SUV. This car was fucking beautiful. Like, is it reading my thoughts? Like, it had so many gadgets and fun things on it. But this car was like very dirty, right? Like, and there was just random stuff in it. And I'm like, this poor car just wants to be happy and like living its wealthy BMW brand new car life. We need to support that, right? And it doesn't matter what you drive. It matters how you're treating it. And especially if you're trying to manifest a new car, like treat the one you have now well. Treat the car you have now the way that you're going to treat your dream car, right? Like, the cliche guy who's out there pulling his 69 Mustang out of the garage so that he can wash it and wax it every weekend because it's his baby and he's taking care of it. That is going to help. And I'll tell you right now, if you're manifesting a new car, Um, I mean, it'll probably already happen just because you've like, been listening to this episode already. But if you need a little boost, like by all means, like you should definitely do a session with me. Because that's been something that's been like cray cray lately. Like I have helped 3 people manifest cars, and like I helped them manifest it because I just was like, God, like this person really needs a new car. And like I need you to make that happen for them. Like there are children going in these cars, like it's not safe. Like please send them a new car. And I just, oh my gosh, literally a burst of light just went into my visual field. That was so cool. So I told, the universe, like, this is important, please make it happen. But then I kind of forgot about it, did not attach anything to it. But I mean, literally within a month, 3 people in my new life in Ohio, I don't know that many people here yet. Literally 3 people got new cars. And one of them was like brand new, like less than 20 miles on it. And they were like, I never used the H word. How? I just remember them coming home and I was like, oh, you got a new car? And they're like, yeah, I don't even know how that happened. Like, this is my dream car. Like, I don't even know how that happened. And I'm like, love that for you. And, they're taking much better care of it. But we need to optimize the glove box. And then something else about the car that I wrote down, your 911 kit that is unique to you. So, for example, the things that are important to me. Have to have my emergency bathing suit. I like to have an emergency towel. And I think that's just a routine from having a Labrador who loves to get dirty. But it's just helpful, right? To have an emergency blanket in case you need it. I always have an extra book, like, if something happens and I'm stranded, like I'll at least have a cool book to read. And then I always have my reusable bags when I go grocery shopping. Recycling is very important to me. So those are the things that are kind of in my 911 kit, but I'm sure if I had kids or dogs, like things, I'd probably have a few more things in there that like are staples. And then when I am traveling with my cat, I always bring my cordless vacuum, which I love. And that helps me just keep my car clean. But then when we're traveling, it helps me not make a mess with his litter box. So those are my 911 kits. So really important to think about. Again, you get 3 core principles. What are things that are in alignment with that? And then like, what are the things that are important to you and bring you joy? And I know that for some of us, like being stranded on the side of the road is like, the worst case scenario, but what's something that would make it better, right? Like, do you have a book, or do you have your really old iPod that, is from the early 2000s that you can use and listen to music if your battery's dead? That's important to me for you. And that also brings up the concept of understanding the difference between being prepared and being efficient versus negative thinking. We're not expecting the car to break down, right? We're only expecting miracles. We aren't expecting, like to be stranded or anything like that. But like, just those little things that are feeling based versus like the 3D stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, spare tire, that stuff is important. But I recently got an oil change, which is a gift, literally from a friend who did it for me. And then I had just done my 600-mile trip to go visit my friend and got back. And, it was our family Christmas. Like there were people in my car and people I cared about very much. And, I drive accordingly to that. Right. And, I got back here to the house and one of my friends was like, oh, I'm just going to the gas station. Is it okay if I use your car? Cause I'm like super blocked in. And I was like, of course. Literally a mile down the road, a mile back, and like things literally fell off my car. And he happens to be a mechanic. He's like, all these things just fell off your car. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, why aren't you freaking out? And I was like, well, you're okay, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, but like, he's like, I don't understand how this is possible. And he's like, he's staring at his hand with these things that like flew off my tires. He's like, these are the ones that fell off. And then I looked at the other ones and like, they're not working. Like they're rusted down to the point where they don't exist anymore. He's like, I don't understand how you drove your car at all, let alone 600 miles. And I was like, well, that's why I do the work that I do, right? And that's why my car is literally a vessel for the divine to work through me. The divine helped me pick out my car. That's a crazy story. If anyone wants to hear it, message me on Instagram. It's one of my favorite stories to tell, because just like being prepared and efficient is on one end, and then negativity and predicting the worst is on the other. This is where you have to use your intuition and also just be in that full trust. Yeah, my car can literally be moving crucial parts and I literally don't even care, because I know that I'm protected and I know that nothing bad can happen to me, period. And that's a really, really powerful way to go through life, right? Expecting the best, expecting miracles, and knowing that nothing bad can happen to you when you're in alignment. It's very much in alignment for me to go visit my family for Christmas. We do it every year. It's amazing. And I honestly just love road trips because I love my car. I love going on adventures with her. Going through my list, guys. I'm going to do probably another episode that is more straightforward about how to pack for a trip, like having your car prepared, having like luggage, things like that. If that's something that you guys want, please let me know. It only takes one of you saying something and I'll totally do it. I think I covered the big pieces, but it all comes down to your big three principles and aligning your life accordingly and not feeling like you have to overpack, right? That's really important. Big lesson for us ladies, calling us out. Okay. Oh, one of the big things that I wanted to talk about. One of the biggest lessons of 2024 for me was, I definitely learned this last year where I was like, wow, I really love being alone. Like I love a lot of alone time. And when I look at my calendar and I see that I have a whole day to do whatever I want and I'm not scheduled to have to do anything, I'm like, I could have a synchronicity day, right? Or I know a lot of the time that I spent last year was at my pool, and I would like, I'm just going to go to the pool and I'm going to meditate, and then I'm going to see the next step. And often that next step was me going to the bookstore and getting a new book. But a lot of times it was literally me just like meditating all day and like listening to podcasts and journaling and stuff. That set me up for this year where I didn't have to, keyword have to, because I did feel like I had to last year. So I just had so many programs in my brain that I needed to rewire. So I was meditating and journaling like constantly. And this year really solidified that like I can do all of that in my mind. And if I pay attention to the first thoughts when I wake up and the last thoughts before I go to bed, and celebrating the wins throughout my day, and then not taking anything personally that isn't an ideal situation that happened that day, everything started to shift. And I just didn't feel like I had to do journaling as much. I didn't feel like I had to do affirmations as much. I definitely don't have to meditate as long. I can honestly meditate for like 1 or 2 minutes now and get the benefits that used to take me like, 45 minutes prior. And so that was a really beautiful thing where the key was really that I loved being alone. And being here and like the energy here just kind of reminds me of college when I lived with a bunch of dudes and it was like the cool place that everyone came and hung out all the time. And I loved it because I was I mean, I was really depressed and I was very anxious. And I actually had my own apartment for some of that time that I stayed with them. But I just couldn't be alone because it's like all of the darkness would like come on and I couldn't handle it. And I was, scared that I was going to take my own life or something. And so being in the energy here of just everyone does everything together, and it's rare that I'm alone, and I'm alone in the house right now, so I can do this video with you. But I just have this extreme deep appreciation for being alone and celebrating it and loving it and looking forward to it. And I'm getting super emotional. Whew. Like there's a time literally like back in college, but even after that, where being alone was crippling to me. And one of the few things that Tony Robbins and I agree on is that he said that loneliness is the biggest killer. And I heard that many years ago, and it stuck, and it still rings true because, we say you need to be your best friend first. You need to love yourself first. You got to do all these things first. Take care of yourself, fill your cup, da, da, da. That's a fun, easy way to say, like, you need to fucking be alone with yourself and be so happy that you're alone. And then everything shifts because you're so much more magnetic. When I'm in the mood to go to a coffee shop, there's one of two directions. I'm going to the coffee shop to bust out a lot of content, and that's the trajectory. And then there's the other fun coffee shop vibe where it's like, actually, I really don't have anything I want to get done. I'm just gonna kind of go with my journal. I'm gonna bring my laptop just in case I get inspired. But I'm just gonna like be at the coffee shop and like know that I'm gonna meet people and like have a fun time, right? And I mean, I've met some really amazing people at coffee shops in small towns in Northern Ohio by having that feeling like I don't need anybody. I don't want to be in other people's energy unless they're actually going to reciprocate the type of energy that I'm giving them, right? Because I can't take care of myself, and I definitely can't serve you guys if I'm around people that like are not feeding me loving nutrition, right? And so, I mean, I literally met a family. They're a very powerful family in this area. Of course, they split their time between here and Atlanta, like no coincidences. And I literally spent Thanksgiving with them, and they invited me like a few days before Thanksgiving, and we literally only met and talked to the coffee shop for like a minute. And it was just a divine appointment. And Thanksgiving, complete divine appointment. And I was just so happy that I felt nourished and loved. And I mean, talk about energy, like the energy of this house that I went to, you guys, like so much love, like generational love. There are 4 generations of family there and friends. And I got to support them in very, very different ways just by being myself and just having the confidence to do that. And, I have, I've had friends and clients where even just going to a bar by themselves to get lunch or a restaurant is just terrifying to them. They're like, absolutely not. I could never do that. And I'm like, well, if you say you can never do that, then you're definitely not going to. That's one of my favorite things to do. And especially over the last 3 years since I, first went virtual, but then, lost my 9-to-5 cushy salary job doing brain health certification training, I needed to go places to just be in the energy of other people when I felt like I wanted it. It was totally up to me, right? And I think that's one of the biggest lessons too of 2024 is that being alone is so empowering, because when you're in that vibration, that's when you meet the magnetic people, right? That's when things become so much more easy, right? If you think of, if you're a business owner or wanting to, and you're listening to all these people telling you I have to have a niche and la, 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 la. What about niching your life? What about niching, like this is a non-negotiable for someone I'm dating, listing it out, looking at it regularly. This is a non-negotiable for a type of experience that I'm going to have today. going through those motions, right? I don't have anything with me right now, but Natural Life is a brand. Google it. But it's bright flowers and very boho retro. I'm obsessed. Most of my Natural Life stuff, other than like, my furniture, obviously. But anything I have Natural Life is definitely with me and like going to Hawaii. Like it's my stuff. Like I love my Natural Life brand stuff. And I'm trying these different coffee shops and stuff. And very recently I was just kind of in a funk, right? And just continuing to clear all of this money stuff, all of this, how do I make it happen? How do I serve at this level? Like, da, 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 da. And it's like, just let it go. And we're just going to like take care of everything for you. Love you, spirit team. And I've been really wanting to go to this coffee shop on a day where I really needed more magic. Never been there before. I just knew intuitively this place is fucking magical. I can just tell. And so I went and I walk in. The entire place is decorated in Natural Life. All of the couches, the chairs, the walls. It's literally Christmas Natural Life come to life. And they sold a bunch of Natural Life products in there, like more than I've seen in like little beach towns that sell Natural Life products. And I was just like, cool. Absolutely amazing, right? And it was because I just wanted to go to a coffee shop and just like I wanted to just feel some magic. And then I ended up talking to a couple of girls that work there, and they told me about this amazing restaurant that they love that like, nobody knows about because they just don't know about it. And again, it was a friendly, loving reminder for those of us running our business that we want our businesses to run on referrals, and like the most powerful referral is just mouth to mouth. And I did end up going to this bar. First of all, it's like a legit Irish pub. Like I know my Irish food, like I know my Irish egg rolls and my Reubens. This shit was amazing. Like it was some of the best food I've ever had. And it's just this tiny little place. Bartender and I became friends. We're going to hang out. One of the other bartenders wants to be a painter and help horses. And so I told her to stay in my world because at some point, like there's a lot of animals, especially horses in this area that need rescuing. And like, I want to have a nonprofit brick and mortar here. She's already signed up. And then the owner is sitting at the bar and they're just having a casual conversation about him, whether or not he was going to be open for New Year's Day. He's like, yeah, I haven't really decided yet. And I'm like, you know what? He gets to make those decisions because he's the owner. And like these people, like the patrons that are regulars, they go all the time. And if they saw that it was closed, they'd just be like, oh, so glad that the boss is taking the day off. Cool. Love that for us. Let's go find somewhere else to eat. That's like the New Earth template. And it's in these hidden places that we don't even know about. And you were meant to be a part of that. And like, you were meant to be one of those people. And maybe this is meant to be heard by you. I mean, some of my favorite people in the world are or were restaurant owners. And they were very magical places. And I met some very magical people when I was working there. And I felt so aligned. And I'm, grooming one of my friends to open his own place. And I know that if he does, it's going to be so successful. And like, I can't wait to be a part of it. But like, whatever your dream is, like, it's totally possible. Like, it's totally possible. And, if you need a real life example, like, and you're dealing, like, there's a very specific thing you want to accomplish, like, let me know. I might know somebody that you can connect with, or I might have a story that you just need to hear that's uniquely, specifically for you, of someone who had the same dream as you and it's happening, or it's something that someone's building, right? Like my dream of having this school where children learn the most pertinent, important information and their brains are nourished in beautiful ways, literally with the right food and the right nutrition, but also like really learning how to take care of themselves so like they don't have to ever go to a doctor if they don't want to. They don't have to do any of those things that a lot of us aren't doing now, but we still need more resources, right? Like the amount of people who still don't understand the power of vitamin D and like don't have their vitamin D level over 80 is staggering. And so that's just an example. Like that's something that like every single child that is a part of a school that I'm connected to will learn, right? They'll know how to cook, they'll know how to grow their own food, they'll know how to fix cars, they'll know how to do all of these things, and know how to build houses. Like there are people who are already doing that, right? Like Jordan Peterson has a organization that's doing that. I'm sure there's a lot more places that are doing that. Even Montessori is doing a lot of that stuff. But I know that it's possible because I know that someone else has already done it. And like there's so many things that you're meant to do that no one else has done. But there is also still proof, right? And like it's not just the proof in your heart and your inner knowing. There is 3D proof that it's happened. So I hope that that was helpful. In closing, I would say one of the biggest, the most important lesson of 2024 that I learned is that I can ask for support and I can receive support. And it's going to look differently than I am wanting or thinking that I need. But I'm getting exactly the support that I really require when it comes to my heart and when it comes to my manifestations. And I am just so grateful. This is literally one of those years that I will never, never, never forget. And it will be easy not to forget because my number has been 8 for a very long time. I've been thinking about 8, seeing 8, found out 8 is a number of abundance. And then I just went crazy. And I was looking forward to 2024 because it's 224, 2 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. And again, that unlocked a lot. The abundance was not necessarily reflected in my bank account the way that I was wanting, but like so abundant in love, so abundant in support, so abundant in gifts. I mean, I've had more gifts turn on this year that I didn't even think were possible for me. I never thought I would be like, oh yeah, I'm an Oracle channel, just like casually and talking, like just leaving it at that. Like never thought that I would do that. Like I'm so abundant in honestly just like how I feel about myself. Like I just feel abundant being Fallon Jordan, right? And like allowing that to be the key to all of these things they're going to unlock for me in 2025 and 2026 and 2027, which these are going to be the 3 biggest years. Like these are going to be the 3 years that like everything changes in our entire history. And we are literally creating an entire new world that is going to be remembered thousands and thousands of years from now. I want you to be a part of it. I want you to shine your light. I want you to be your biggest, best, amazing self. If there's anything I can do to support you, let me know. The website, fallonjordan.com, has the links to my coaching sessions. It has the links to an immediate healing session. And then you can always just email me if there's something personalized that you need, whether it's in person or virtual. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you in any way that I can't, and anything that you require that I can't do myself, like I will point you in the direction of the perfect people who can. And I just love you so much. And I just want you to have the most magical year beyond anything you can even comprehend or possibly dream up. And I would love to be that person who could put those little bugs in your ear of like the most magical things that could possibly happen, and like expanding your mind, expanding your consciousness, expanding your reality in ways that you literally are just living that life. Like it's just happening, and there's nothing anyone can say or do that's going to make you change your mind. Like you are committed to the mission and you are committed to yourself. I love you. And again, just reach out if you need anything, and please share this video with anyone who may benefit. I try to do a good intro of my background. There's something that you're missing, just let me know. And then obviously, my website has my little bio there too. No question is a bad question, and no topic is ever off limits. I love you. I'll see you in 2025.